you?
Oh, doing great, thank you.
I know this spring is a little different. Last spring, I don't think you had any players that you took with you to the season. So how is this spring different? I know there's some new faces, but knowing you have this spring and then the entire summer to get ready for the season.
Yeah, that's a huge difference, and it's a good thing for us, right? We've got a full room now. We're operating with 2 kickers, 2 punters, and 2 snappers, and we'll, utilize these 15 practices to really get a baseline on where each one of those guys are, and then, at the end of it, be able to review, correct, set a course for their summer, and then get them ready for the season. So this is bonus time for us, just to really get a chance to work with those guys.
You brought in Will Stone, a guy who was kind of a kickoff specialist at Texas, but wasn't really he didn't really do a lot of field goal kicking. What's your kind of thought process about him getting into the field, using his abilities here?
Well, the one thing is he's played in big games. He's had 2 attempts as a place kicker. Both of them were extra points in the semifinal against Ohio State a couple of years ago. Kickoff guy for 4 years there. So the first thing that jumps out is he's got great leg strength, really good leg pop, and just learning to get to know him. The thing that's great about him is he is a true guy that's into the craft. He's going to work hard at it, and had a chance to look at some field goal film of him. Not obviously in a game, but just looked at him, liked his technique, liked his leg strength, and liked the fact that he loved his craft and was going to work really hard at it. I think that he hasn't had a chance yet, but this year I think he'll have a great opportunity if he gets it done right. He's got to win. We always say this, guys. We compete for all positions, so nothing's handed to you just because you're the senior from Texas over the freshman. We don't have labels in our room. We play with doesn't matter, freshman, senior, junior, walk on. Guy getting a ton of rev money, and none of that counts. What counts is that they can get it done between the lines. That's why no jobs are won in spring. You win your job in fall camp. You might make a statement and make a stake to the job with a great spring, but you're not going to win. We're going to see how you hit in August. Because if you come out and hit great in April and you don't hit well in August, that's not going to be the guy you want jogging out between the lines to win a game for you. But excited about what he brings to the table, and think that this place is going to give him an opportunity to really show himself as a field goal kicker.
Coming off for starting punter this year, what could you say about both of these?
So, one's a lefty and one's a righty. That's true. But Atticus brings experience. He's again a Big Ten player, been out there, done that. Mason brings a different kind of experience with him as far as being a high-level athlete that's had to train under pressure in a different sport. As he's continuing to grow because of his athletic ability as a punter, he's a little bit behind fundamentally, but is really working really hard on it. And Addie does the same thing. He was a great gift for us to come in here and really give us an opportunity to punt well. I think that's one of the things when we went back and looked, we've got to be better, okay? And so that's why Atticus is here, that's why Mason's here. They get along great, so they compete really well together. And everybody in the rooms understands that, man. We're going to compete like crazy, but at the end of the day, we need to be able to go eat lunch with each other. We need to care. If I don't win the job, I need to be rooting for my buddy, and both those guys have taken that. They share a love of golf along with Will, so all 3 of those guys are way better than I am, but they get along really well. And so I've got 2 really long guys that I think have powerful legs. They give us an opportunity to improve our punt game. Not just our gross punt, obviously, but our net punt. But you got to improve your gross punt to improve your net punt.
Last season, you're pretty much
team that has that super NFL kicker, the 65-yard guy, have a big advantage over everybody else. Are we catching up to that?
You talking about punting wise?
No, kicking.
Kicking wise?
Yeah.
So the 65-yard guy. Let's go back and first of all, if it's hey, I got to win the game with 8 seconds left, and the ball's where it's at. If I got a 65-yard guy, yeah, that's an advantage. But the majority of the hits aren't happening from back there. What's that guy like 40 and in? He's got to be a 10 for 10 dude, 40 and in. You can't miss a kick 40 and in, and not anymore. And the minimum acceptable level is 80% made. Now, if you can find a guy that's above that, like we had last year, our guy was right around almost 90%. He was 89% dude. Okay, when you know you're trotting a guy out there that can make 89% of his kicks, plus he can kick 55 plus 60. Then now you're cooking with gas. Now you're set up. You're in a great place with that. So yeah, would I love to have a 65 guy? Sure, but having said that, he better be accurate. Where's he gonna take 90% of his hits? 50 and in, right? So he better be really good there.
Coach, on that note, you put together pretty much an entirely new special teams unit at the end of last spring and going into the fall camp. Did you learn any lessons that kind of got maybe guide you this season?
Well, you know, last year was a unique situation, right? New staff coming in with essentially 3 guys that one had done it for about 5-6 games the year before. The other 2 had never played in a college football game. And so you're looking and trying to get the idea was to get a great evaluation on those 3 guys and find out where they're at, because they were the 3 guys that we had here at the time. So we get a great evaluation. Now, unfortunately, after evaluating them, those 3 guys weren't going to help us win games in the Pac-12. So now you're in a situation where you've got to bring in and rebuild the room. So knew that there was a chance that was going to be that way. Had that in process. We were already working and recruiting through some of that, but then you never know who's going in the portal or not. That's not the norm, right? That's the outlier that happens to you, where you've really got to build the complete room by itself. And typically you're going to build the room in today's world. You're probably going to change out at least 2 or 3 guys every year. That's the nature of the beast. And we had Noe, who was a senior that graduated, and so we knew we had to get a kicker. Our punting game, we had to go get a punter. And then our snapper left. Okay, he went somewhere else. That's where the portal comes in. So you got to go find a guy. The lesson is always have you've got to have a group of guys. You have to have a high school list, and you have to have a portal list. I don't think we want to live in the portal. I think we want to live in the high school world. But if you have to go to the portal to fix or to get your group to where it needs to be, and at the end of the day, that's able to go out and perform at a high level and help set the field position in big football games and win games for us, if we got to go to the portal, we'll go to the portal. If we can find it with the high school guy and build him up and through, let's go.
Coach, you did end up going to the portal and found a new long snapper from Tennessee State, I believe Hicks, if I remember right. Of course, you have Rockland Kelly coming back as well. Just what stuck out with Hicks from the portal, and what does it look like with both of these pretty young long snappers and developing them?
So, Hicksy was a starter a year ago for him, so he's got a year under his belt. That's one thing that stuck out. The other thing is incredibly accurate, throws a phenomenal short ball. He's going to give you 12 o'clock laces over the spot consistently all the time. So those were the things that stuck out on him. And then knowing too that Rock's come along, and Rock has shown a lot of improvement. So we're asking Rock, and Hicksy's going to push Rock, and Rock's going to push Hicks and Kyle, and then we'll see where it all shakes out. But really pleased with, and especially the last 2 practices. I think they've really done a good job of changing some things and working on some things that are somewhat new to them that we need them to be able to do.
Coach, with all that in mind, you mentioned all the competition among the kickers and such. You've talked in the past about how competition for returning as well not only helps the special teams unit, but gets people up there. What does the competition look like for the return guys?
So what have you got? Our kick returner graduated, he's gone, right? Our backup kick returner graduated, he's gone. We've got our starting punt returner, the guy that started for us last year, Antoine Jackson, is back. We've got some guys in the program, that have backed him up. But then you've got some new kids coming in, that we want to see. We want to see what Kaj can do as a kick returner. Duke Watson as a kick and a punt returner. So out of that running back area, we've got some guys. Swint back healthy again. See what can he do with a kickoff. And just working with some of those guys and teaching them how to return punts and find out who are backup. Josh Derry's been working at it. Wide receiver we brought in, he spent a lot of time working this offseason, catching balls with Antoine out there on the jugs. We've got 4 or 5 guys back there that I'm working with post-practice, and just kind of let it shake out. We actually lost a lot of our guys. If you take the top 8 players we had in production as far as plays on special teams, none of them are here. So we're not just rebuilding and finding the kicker and finding the returner and finding the punter and the snapper. Heck, I'm looking for the left guard on the punt team. I'm looking for the PP. I'm looking for the right guard, the right tackle. I'm looking for who's going to block a field goal. I'm looking for who's going to block a punt or block for whoever that returner is. If it's Antoine, who's going to get him home? So we're also looking at that this spring.
Special teams is one of the area that gets most hurt by the portal, considering that a lot of those guys are second and third team players on the depth chart.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. I think that you're always going to lose, and remember now the portal thing's still we're still figuring stuff out. So it's not like it's a long longitudinal study. I can just tell you that looking at who we lost, and like to your point, I'm a backup. I want to play. I want to go somewhere maybe where I can start. Yeah, coach, I love you played me 20 plays on special teams, but I want to go be a DB, or I want to go be a wide receiver. Yeah, so it probably stands to reason that you're going to lose a lot of your special teams players, and then but that's why you're training young guys too. So what you want is you're hoping your young guys are working. It's that freshman, right? That gives him opportunity to get on the field early, and then he's not in as big a hurry to leave, right? We hope not, anyway. So that's what you're trying to do. So to answer your long answer, yes.
Mark Ford, what do you look for when you are bringing guys in? Is there a specific thing? Obviously, it's not just speed in the returning game. So what do you really look for?
One of the beauties of the portal is I can go. If we have a player coming on campus, I can go to PFF. I can go online, and I can click a few buttons, and I can see every special teams play he's ever played. So what I'm looking for is, then if he hasn't played, then I'll go watch his offensive film or his defensive film. I'm looking for somebody that's athletic, that's physical. If he has experience in the game, that's great because I get a chance to see him within the confines of special teams. But if he doesn't, that's okay too. We'll look at, hey, is he a wide receiver that'll block, or is he just a guy that's going to catch? Can he get in and out of a break? Can he bend his knees? Is he an aggressive linebacker? So a lot of the same characteristics the offensive and defensive coaches are looking for. We're looking for the same thing, but the ability to sometimes see a guy play 100 snaps on special teams in any of the last few years, right, really helps me just get a frame on those guys and who they are coming in.
Coach, we talked to Jaden Williams last week, and he answered a question about Ty Bartram being like the PP, leader on the special teams type of guy. Just what's it been like working with Ty on the special teams front, and what's it like with a leader like that, where he has his starting duties on a different side of ball to worry about, but he's also a big leader with your group with the special teams.
Yeah, you've got to sit there and be the quarterback. I mean, you're the PP. Everything goes through him. Put Ty there for a reason. Guy's played a lot of football. Guy that's been a communicator as a defensive back, so it's pretty natural for him to stand in there and communicate. So like that part about him, and that's just him now learning our system, and and being that authoritative figure. He's still learning, so we're working towards that. But I love the leadership that he showed on his previous film. I love what he's done here in the off season, how he works. Players listen to him, and he's got to be willing to be confident and give that as he speaks. So all that's been good with him. I really enjoyed the beginning with him.
Coach, who stood out to you so far? I know it's quite early, but who stood out to you in terms of characteristics you saw on the special teams player?
Well, you mentioned, there's Nick Antoine's a guy that jumps out. He's going to go 100 miles an hour, give you everything he's absolutely got all the time. So that kind of guy sticks out to you. New guys coming in, I think Tackett Curtis is a big physical, athletic linebacker. Where he fits in our system will depend a lot on how he fits defensively for us. But I've really enjoyed working with the new guys coming in. And if I name them all, I'm going to miss somebody, and that's going to hurt somebody's feelings. But, Jay Willie's a guy, 23. Where are we going to play him on that kind of stuff? He's a guy that played in special teams last year for us before he got hurt. Where are those guys going to go? And right now, for me, it's building a fundamental base with these guys and then figuring out offensively and defensively how they fit in. Because if a guy's going to play 70 plays a game on defense, he's only going to start on one team for me. And then I got to figure out where's that one team, where can we best use him in that situation. And same way with offense, right? If a guy's playing a ton of ball, if a guy's playing 35 plays, 40 plays, he needs to play 20 plays for us, man. You want your uniform dirty and you want to be tired at the end of the day. So I would say this, all the new guys have come in and really embraced trying to work through the kicking game. And I think the advantage of a guy like, Rollerson, one of our wideouts, is, experience, right? He's gone through all the individual stuff. He knows the drills. So he's another guy that shows up in doing good stuff. But there's a boatload of guys that I think are all working hard. So my general take on that to you is that I'm really pleased with the effort that all the guys have given so far in trying to work. We're 4 practices in, still trying to figure some guys out. And I think by the end of spring, they keep working the way they're working, we'll have a really good idea of who we want to put in that mix and who we feel like we can count on, and we'll start to adjust accordingly. So, and you'll see if you watch us, if you're looking at the first team punt team, those are usually your best 11 dudes. So if those guys are on that team, they're on there for a reason. And that's one of the few teams that will line up during the spring and play as a complete team.
All right.
All good?
Thanks,
Thanks,
Coach.
Pete.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.